Sports. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's wins and losses, highs and lows. It's effort, respect, and dedication. The High School Sports Beat. Sports. It's who we are.
Hello everyone, welcome and thanks for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We continue our look back at our 10 years of covering Section 5 sports, and we begin with Gananda Girls Lacrosse from April of 2017. Here's Bill Pucko.
Shelby Maiorano's substantive style isn't merely making a statement. It's keeping her on the lacrosse field. Gananda in a girls lacrosse scrimmage against Fairport. You notice anything different? Senior midfielder Shelby Maiorano is wearing a helmet. She's the only one.
Well, traditionally, the girls' game's never worn a helmet, but recently there's been a push from some of the states, particularly Florida, looking into the possibility of wearing a helmet. And a couple of the companies that make equipment have started developing helmets, and now, just through the recent time, U.S. Lacrosse has approved some helmets for game use at the girls' level.
It's going to come, right? I mean, this seems like such a natural.
I think eventually you're going to see a mandate that the girls wear a helmet just because of safety reasons. Yes, I do believe that.
Maiorano is not attempting to be a trendsetter by choice. Shelby has suffered up to 7 concussions, mostly due to her participation in sports. This was the only way she was going to be allowed back on the field.
I was told that I wasn't able to play sports anymore, but just this past January they passed a rule saying that I could wear a helmet if I played. I could wear a helmet if I played sports.
Now, this was something you went after, right? I mean, this was they told you can't play, right?
Correct. And so I talked to my neurologist once I found out that I was able to wear a helmet, and they said that I could if I wore a helmet. So I was able to play this year.
In the culture of lacrosse, why was it they protected the guys and not the girls?
I think it's just the nature of the game. They're two completely games. The girls' game is more of a finesse game where there's not traditionally a lot of hitting with the bodies or the sticks to the body. So it's just a completely different game. So they've never really felt that they've had to have that. Goggles actually came into play recently also.
The helmet is a soft plastic, fairly unobtrusive, and costs a little north of $100. Does it affect the way you play? I mean, do you notice it once you get out there?
I do notice that it's harder to see things a little bit, but other than that, I think it's a great thing. It makes me feel a lot more safe on the field and not worried. I don't have to worry about much anymore.
Detecting and treating concussions is still an inexact and developing science, but this was a serious matter.
It caused a lot of problems. I had to go to a lot of therapy, occupational physical therapy. I had a lot of problems with my eyes, it caused a lot of medical problems, and I was struggling in school for a while because I was in so much pain. I couldn't go to school for a while because I had so many concussions, so I was out of school for a while.
You're always concerned about your player's health, but through her own neurologist and her doctors, we feel very confident that she's going to be safe on the field. And if she isn't, then we'll make sure that she's not on the field. We want to make sure, first of all, she's safe for life.
Gananda is a relative newcomer to lacrosse, a Class D program that began in 2010. And Maiorano is a significant player. She scored 17 goals last year to earn honorable mention in the Finger Lakes League, playing against the likes of Palmac, Marcus Whitman, Newark, and Wayne. The helmet helped minimize the risks involved with the sport and allowed Shelby to continue to do something she loves.
I get hit in the head for some reason all the time, and I think it's just important for girls to wear a helmet because anything can happen, and you only have one brain. Really, your life could be taken away from you so fast.
Yeah, and lacrosse was important enough for you to kind of go the extra mile to say, look, I want to keep playing.
Yes, I love it. I've always loved lacrosse. It's always been my number one sport, and being able to play is amazing.
Coming up next, we go inside Section 5 Sports with our guest Patrick Irving, Director of Physical Education at Gates Chi-Li. We'll have that when the High School Sports Beat continues. Welcome back to the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. It is time now for Inside Section 5 with our guest, Gates Chili, Director of Physical Education and Athletics, Patrick Irving. First of all, thanks for joining us, and talk about the way things have kind of gone, how you guys specifically at Gates Chili have dealt with everything with the sports getting going again, and how it's been going for you.
Well, first off, we're excited to say that we have all of our sports going. With this spring starting now, we will have every sport played this school year, including our unified offering. So we're incredibly excited about that. But it's been challenging. As guidelines come out, we react to it, not only as a school district, as a league, but as a section as well, to offer these programs to our kids in our community as safely as possible. But that's been a challenge, but we've been able to get through it with a lot of teamwork here at Gates Chili and across the league.
You mentioned the section too. Talk a little bit about that, about how you guys as athletic directors have really worked together to come up with a plan that works and fits for everybody and fits their needs.
Yeah, so the section plays an integral role in that whole process. They really help the communication across all the leagues and across all the counties, because truth be told, different counties interpret guidance slightly differently. And then leagues implement them differently as well too. Nothing drastic, but even slight changes make things different from when you go from one league to the next. So the section has really done a nice job of helping bridge that communication gap between all the leagues and all of our counties.
I think one of the things is, as you think about the dominoes that had to fall into place to get all this work is overlooked is the transportation issue. I mean, it was, you talk about taking a football team, say, that usually would fit on maybe 2 buses, and all of a sudden you've got to space them out. Talk about that has been a headache, hasn't it?
Yeah, busing is definitely a challenge. Luckily here at Gates Chili, we have a great transportation department, but even still, with the added the added distancing on our buses, it's been a true challenge for them. Like you said, taking maybe 3 buses when 2 or even 1 was needed in the past definitely puts a strain on our drivers and that transportation department. And we even see it today. Today, Monday the 10th, we're playing a softball game, and the district coming out to us had an issue with their busing, and they're coming an hour late because of it. And we responded to it. We changed things with our officials and our community, but you got to be able to respond to that. But we're getting the game in, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. But definitely a challenge, transportation.
It really is the most important thing. I think, we think about, we've been sitting here. I just remember sitting in this seat last year at this time and thinking about the heartbreak of these kids that weren't going to be able to play their senior seasons, and to be able to offer the athletes this year, albeit in sometimes a condensed or shortened season, but to give them something, that really meant a lot, didn't it?
It really meant a lot. We kept saying in our league meetings, we really need to prioritize the spring season, because obviously they didn't have their season last year, and we wanted to work with the section and our surrounding leagues to maximize the amount of time our spring student athletes had. And I think we have a nice thing in place right now, although slightly condensed and not having the state tournament. Our spring student athletes are getting in a full season. We're just doing it a little bit quicker than normal.
It's been relatively smooth as far as I could tell across the board. The districts have been handling this really well, and I think that's a testament to the dedication of the athletes, the coaches, and the parents, and everybody on down the line.
For sure. It's more than just the athletic directors and the coaches. We really count on our student athletes, their families, and the community. Not to mention our nurses and medical director here at Gates Chili. They played such a huge role in getting our students medically cleared and supporting us this entire way. We mentioned transportation too. They play an enormous role in the success that we're having right now. So it takes a lot of people, and it takes effective communication.
All right. Awesome. Patrick, thank you so much. Good luck the rest of the year. Thanks for joining us here. All right. Take care. Coming up next, this week's Making the Grade nominee, and later we flash back to baseball at Frontier Field with Schroeder and McQuaid. We'll have that when the High School Sports Beat returns. Welcome back and thank you for watching the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. Making the grade this week is Eugenia Maria de Hostos Charter School's Leisha Martinez. A 4-year varsity player in volleyball and softball, Leisha was named captain of the volleyball team the last 2 seasons. She also was named most improved player for softball. Leisha carries a 94 average and plans on continuing her athletic career at college. For being a hard worker, amazing student, and a team leader on and off the court this week, Leisha Martinez is making the grade. If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them in to mtg@rocksportsnow.com. Now here's some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in our Section 5 Spotlight. Congrats to Hilton's Dante Valiant for winning the Trent Jackson Memorial 100 meter and being named track MVP at this year's His and Hers Invitational in Penfield. The unified bowling season has ended and Marcus Whitman finished in first place for Section 5. Congrats to the boys and girls on the Wildcats for bringing home the trophy. And finally, the season of the no-hitter has spread to Section 5 baseball as Greece Athena's Casey Saki and Vic Alonji combined to no-hit HFL. Saki, a University of Virginia commit, struck out 12 of the 15 batters he faced during his perfect 5-inning start. Up next, Section 5 baseball at Frontier Field when the High School Sports Beat continues.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back and thanks for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We flash back now to April of 2016 in a baseball game played at Frontier Field. Here's Bill Pucko.
Section 5 championship baseball games are held at Frontier Field. Prior to that, Frontier will host about a dozen regular season high school games this year. The first of those put McQuaid against Webster Schroeder. These were the top 2 seeded teams in the Class AA sectional draw last year. McQuaid won it. Both teams are trying to retool.
We graduated 11 seniors, and they graduated 14. We played each other last year. It was a great game. It was a 3-1 game, I believe. I think at the end of the year, we're both going to be solid, and we're both going to be able to compete with anybody.
McQuaid, under first-year head coach Tony Fuller, had a leg up on their opponents after playing 6 games to start the season in Vero Beach, Florida. They won 4 of them.
For a young group, I thought the Florida trip was huge for us in a maturation process and growing up and being ready for the schedule up here. And they responded well, and they're showing it.
To the game, the homestanding Knights scored 3 in their half of the first inning and largely had the Schroeder defense to thank for it. A hit batsman, a walk, and an error on a bunt loaded the bases for McQuaid with no outs. Danny Maxwell hit one to right field that wasn't played for an RBI hit, and the bases were still loaded. Another error produced a second run. Before Jerry DeMarco's sacrifice line drive to center, the hardest ball hit in the inning, made it a 3-0 game. Schroeder's defensive struggles contrasted with some excellent play in the field by McQuaid. In the second, Webster was retired on nice plays by Maxwell at second base. and by shortstop Nick Tomei. The score remained 3-0 Knights. Then in the third, Maxwell made another at second as the McQuaid defense continued to shine. Defensively, you looked, the cold weather and everything, you looked in mid-season form. Is that something you guys really pride yourselves in?
Yeah, we do. We haven't been on a field a lot this year. We got our games down in Florida. We've only been on a field maybe 5 times since then. So it's been tough to get out there and grind on the field, but we made all the plays.
In the third, Maxwell led off with a double. And came in to score when DeMarco hit a sinking liner to left that was ruled a trap by the Schroeder left fielder John Stokeham, who made a nice play on the ball. But it was now a 4-0 game. In the fourth, Schroeder got on the board. With 1 out, Sean O'Neill hit a shot off the third baseman that went for a hit. He eventually came around on an error, and it was 4-1. To lead off the fifth, the Warriors' Steve Smith hit a line drive that split the outfielders in right and center. But Donnie Moffitt pitched out of trouble, getting the next 3 to end the inning unscathed. Schroeder rallied again in the sixth. A hard base hit to right by Phil Ferrante was sandwiched around a couple of errors to load the bases with 2 outs. Are you thinking at that time, this is our opportunity, we load the bases?
I was thinking the entire time, like it was our opportunity, it was just a matter of time. But yeah, thought that was a little spark plug to the team that inning.
But Moffitt got Smith, who had doubled the last time up, to fly out and end the inning. The pitcher got his defense off the hook. Is there a pride factor in you in being able to take your defense off the hook under certain circumstances?
Oh yeah, I don't want them to feel like they did something wrong. I want them to know that don't worry about that. I got it next time. Don't worry about it. Move on to the next play. It's always next play.
With backup warmed and ready, Moffitt gutted out a complete game victory, and McQuaid won the game 4-1.
I think I did pretty well. Little more balls than I wanted, but Webster Schroeder, heck of a team. They'll be great all around, but all around effort by my team, great. All defense, offense, everything. All team effort today.
A baseball game at Frontier Field is always special, but for Maury Silver, McQuaid's senior first baseman, even more so. Maury's mother, Naomi, is the president and CEO of the Rochester Red Wings. His namesake is honored in center field as the founder of Rochester Community Baseball. And his recently deceased grandmother, Anna Silver, is honored on the field.
Seeing my grandma's initials on the field and, opening day with the Red Wings, that was really special. And now playing on the field with her initials, it's always in your mind now. And so this season's kind of dedicated to her.
And your namesake is out there in center field.
Yeah, that's pretty special. Trying to carry on what my grandfather did.
We'd like to thank the athletes, teams, and coaches in Section 5 for making the Sports Beat possible. Thanks for watching. Be safe, and we'll see you back next week for more of the High School Sports Beat.